Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the channel for today's episode. Today, we're going to talk about the secondary supply and the primary supply. Why does a narcissist have primary and secondary supply? So let's jump in. The narcissist has and is always seeking for a good primary supply, because a good primary supply is someone they could feed off. The narcissist does not have a true self. Their false self is the mask, and they have to continually feed the mask. If something is fake, then it takes fuel. And it needs, well, the best fuel you can get is going to make that thing work properly. And this is the deal they made with the devil. The demons help them form this mask, and that's where they get this magic from. You know, when they talk about seduction, that's magic. When they talk about charm, that's magic. What you could probably call, and it would be synonymous with, witchcraft. When you grow up in these narcissistic families, you're born into what is going on in the household from the hierarchy narcissist, the family cult. It is witchcraft. And you are under the witchcraft spell because you're enmeshed in it. You are groomed. If you're a black sheep because you didn't become a narcissist, why don't you look at it like a coven or a cult? Because that's really what it is. Your family was a coven or a cult. What happens inside the house doesn't happen outside the house. Thinking of the narcissist is the thinking of the enemy. And a lot of things are hidden and never dealt with. And that's how the enemy rules, you know? There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of stealing of energy, and there's a lot of impersonating. And when you are, say, the black sheep, and this is why I believe this is all innate. I've heard that, you know, as soon as a baby comes out, narcissists can tell just by your demeanor and the way you are. They could tell exactly what you're going to be as far as supply for them, or as if you're going to be a, I don't know, a junior narcissist or whatever you want to call it. Learn to be like them. But when you're the black sheep, let's just talk about that, because that's what we are. You're groomed, because if you're not going to become one, then you're going to be the best supply for one. And so that's what the narcissist knows, the narcissist hierarchy. Plus, they run in codependence. And because they're so codependent, they like to, if they can give the black sheep an inferiority complex and hold them down, treat them bad, and get them used to it and comfortable with it as a child, and then get them to people please and to pour out their heart and their energy and their fuel for them, then they can project on them all the time. And that's what they do. And if they can get you low enough, then you'll never leave their side, because you won't feel like you'll feel too inferior to be able to go out there and do anything by yourself independently. And that's what they want. Then maybe you can become a caregiver or something later on, or you'll always be around to help out because they're lazy anyway. So, but let's carry this witchcraft. You were spellbound to take care of a witch or a warlock, basically. Let's look at it like that, because that's really what you're dealing with. So now you leave the house, and I always call it passing the baton. So the baton gets passed from the narcissist hierarchy, like say your mother, your father, or caregiver, your grandmother, whoever it was that raised you and trained you up this way, unbeknownst to you. The other siblings are narcissists. And so they're just part of the coven. So then you go out there innocently, and unbeknownst to you, you get a narcissist. Now the energy is a little different, because it's not the enmeshment of the family. Now it's the enmeshment of the love partner. And so that energy is different. It's going to be obviously different. They have some similarities, but they're very different, because you're talking about somebody that you're going to love wholeheartedly. You're going to give them yourself. I mean, really. And you're going to be totally down for them. That's what you do with a love partner. That's what you're supposed to do. So then you get with them, and you've been actually used to low expectations, and expectations that a narcissist gave you the whole life you had growing up. So why should it be any different from a love partner? You can get to a point to where you think this is just normal, especially if you had nothing but toxicity in your life as a child. So you're completely like enmeshed, and in that Stockholm syndrome and the cognitive dissonance, you don't really know what good is. But if you're very intuitive, your intuition will defy all of that, even without ever having a good relationship, because you'll know deep in your soul that it's not right. Things should be natural. It does not mean that you won't accept or you will not allow yourself to be spellbound, because you don't know exactly what's going on. But when the narcissist comes into your life, they look for that primary source, and it's not the easiest thing in the world, because they have a certain type of attention span, a certain type of demeanor. They're very emotional, and they can only handle so much of somebody attacking them. And the way that they act and they operate, and as little reciprocity as they give, the brunt of the arguments and mistreatment or abuse that they give, they have to be careful, because they can't handle a bunch coming back at them. They are extremely sensitive, and it can give them a narcissist injury. So they are kind of careful on who they pick, but they also they're lacking all of the gifts of love, and they really can't be self-aware of what they're doing, nor do they care. And they're greedy and self-centered, not a very low level of self-awareness. They're pompous and grandiose, and so they fake it coming in. And when they find that primary source, I think that we're kind of like the salt of the earth. If we weren't around people like us that help individuals that are emotionally healthy outside of the spell, I mean, we gave too much. We didn't love ourselves enough, but we are genuine in our love for people. We don't want to hurt people, but help people. We lift this world up more than we lower it down. We're a benefit more than we are a deficit. And with the narcissist, they're complete deficit. They don't do anything good for this world, nor for you, or for anything or anybody. So they have to fake it to come in. They need to use good fuel. And when they get you, they also have to have that fuel to fake it. I mean, a lot of times they don't have the energy, and they don't feel like acting, because they're not being, but that's to act right for a time while they're with you, so they could seduce you and charm you with that witchcraft. But they want primary and secondary source supply, because the primary source, of course, they can project onto them and switch energy with them. They can feel the love and compassion and all of the fruits of the spirit from that individual and steal them out from under them, so that they can experience them. They can't generate them, but they need them. They like to experience them, and it gives them some sort of peace and comfort, whatever you would call it for them. Also, they like that innocent energy, because it really fuels them up. It makes them feel important when they have the cream of the crop when it comes to fuel. And when you're admiring them and adoring them and doing all of their work at home as their butler, then they have more time, they're lazy, and they just will be able to look like they act right when they're outside the house. And they are secure. They know that you're taking care of all the jobs and duties that they can't do, because they can't do very much outside of work. They got to keep up with supply. And they get you busy doing all that stuff, taking care of the bills while they take care of the bank accounts. And they just continue to project onto you, and you're also a safety piece for them. But they get bored of and tired of the primary supply, because they're impulsive and they have a low attention span, and they get bored very quickly. They're the type of person where they don't want to live the normal life. They're too good for that. And they have no integrity. They have no standard of living, of goodness in them. And they are full on trying to do as much of the evil as they can. It's one thing if you didn't have standards, but to then push the pedal to the floor on the other end is what they do. And they've gotten good at all of this manipulating, lying, cheating, stealing, faking, compartmentalizing individuals to separate them so that they don't get together and understand that the narcissist is lying and cheating to both of them. They do this triangulation, and they stack all these manipulations to where they wear you down, wear you out. They get you to have no heart, no passion, and you just are dead inside, because they keep transferring their dead energy to you while they take your live energy. They cannot produce energy. And the only thing they can produce is evil, demonic, hateful energy. You'd be better off not getting anything from them than giving them just all your goodness and then taking their dead energy. They wear you down, wear you out, but they need you. But this is when they get really comfortable getting a secondary source of supply or a tertiary, because they have somebody at home to protect them. They're settled, they're rooted down and grounded. They're getting good fuel at home, and they get you to have almost absolutely no boundaries with them or address any situations in their life. If you want to keep them, then keep your mouth shut and don't address anything. If you want to keep them, don't ask them where they were. And so it's a don't ask, don't tell situation. It's to show the blind eye. Like, whatever you're not going to go snooping either. You're just going to like let things be. Carry on as if nothing's happening. And don't look into things, and don't be keen on things, and don't be sensitive to what you think you may hear or see, or what you may think. It's almost like you have two separate lives, their life and your life, and they get to mingle with you when they want to. But generally speaking, it's going to be hateful energy coming your way, because they don't care about the primary supply once they get them nailed down real good. They feel like they've gotten you crippled to a codependency, and then they work on increasing inferiorities in you, breadcrumbing any kind of validation with the hot and the cold, and get you addicted to them. And this is all witchcraft. You're prepared and prepped for one of these fools, because this is what whoever it was in your hierarchy narcissist family was. But they get a secondary supply because the secondary supply is the one they have fun with. That's the one where they can be impulsive. That's the one they don't see on a daily basis. And so that's the one that's probably cheating on their spouse as well, or their boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever. So they both are either narcissist or narcissistic, or an empath with no boundaries, and they're desperate. But whoever they have is generally like, they're both cheating. Or if this one's not in a relationship necessarily, they're still a cheater on the regular. And so they meet up maybe a few times a month, and they'll have relations like that. They may have overnight visits. They may get together for several hours. And this is the narcissist fun and excitement when they're married. I mean, they may do special things with you, but nothing special with the narcissist. When they get with you every day, everything's an argument. Everything is a problem, and everything is a burden. And somehow, some way, you somehow caused it all, or it's your fault. And you have to take it, because if you're going to address things with the narcissist, then they're going to leave. And they may just leave and cheat on you. And that's what they do also. That's one of the ploys they do. They'll rage on you, leave, go have sex with somebody, come back later, go on a trip for a day or two and come back later and say that they're over it. But of course you can't talk about it either. It's almost like we're starting over. We're always starting over. The narcissist loves to start over because they don't want to address anything, because they know it's their fault and they're manipulating and they're wrong. But they have fun with the secondary supply. And if they can get a secondary supply that is the same way as them, they don't want to get serious either. They know they can't. And they know where their role is. Then they could do that for years. And that secondary supply or tertiary supply is never, and they're going to have the tertiary as well. Because I don't think there's any narcissist that has just two people. I think, and if they do, they try to get three. And the third one would be more of like someone who's really into them maybe, but maybe they haven't had relations with them. But they're hooked to where everything is up to the narcissist on the tertiary. Meaning they don't have to do anything. They're kind of like somewhat of like friends, and they flirt, or whatever you want to call it, situationship. And maybe they don't do much, and they're just supplied maybe on the telephone, and they just see them once in a while. But if that narcissist wanted to get serious, that person would drop everything for them. And so that's in one way how a tertiary supply could be. They can't have too many supplies, or else they won't be able to function. They would get caught. So outside of three, it gets kind of hard, and it gets to where it's not even, you need a lot of energy, and it's not fun anyway. It could be more of a burden. But when they go out with the secondary and do these things, it's always fun. If they did the same thing with you as they did with the secondary supply, it would be miserable with you. The experience with you going to the beach for the weekend would be miserable. The whole time would be miserable. And when they go on the same trip with the secondary supply, it's wonderful. because it's new, it's fun, it's exciting. They're cheating, they get adrenaline off it, they get power control off it, and that secondary supply is probably doing the same thing they are. They almost don't feel bad about it. It's like when two thieves are together, they don't feel bad about robbing, but when a one thief is by themselves, I mean, it feels a little worse, And so these guys team up in this sort of fashion, and they have a code. And they also don't address any situations in their life with each other. They're getting together to have fun, y'all. And they're just going to blow it down while they're going to make everybody else miserable. And that secondary supply is kind of like there's intrigue there for the narcissists on both sides, really. Because it's kind of like this is not a common thing. And they know that. It's kind of like something that's not common. It's kind of taboo, maybe. It's outside the norm, and they have fun doing it, and it's exciting. And a lot of times they don't have to address anything because they're both pieces of crap. They're both at that same level, so it's kind of just like if they both are getting fueled up at home by their empaths, then they can come together and have fun because they're fueled up. Where it really becomes a problem is when two narcissists and they're both each other's primary supply, and they can't get fuel from each other. But when two narcissists come together and they have empaths at home that they can break down and beat down and steal their fuel every day, and then when they get together, they can go out and destroy the world together. It's fun for them. So this is why a narcissist would have a secondary supply. I mean, of course, they have abandonment issues, and they need different forms of supply, and they need a lot more adoration, admiration, and all that fawning and praise and worship that the average person in humanity doesn't need that, because we don't need to be praised and worshipped. We just want to get reciprocity and live a good, healthy life for the most part, for most of us. But they do it so they can have you at home, that they draw off the best fuel, and they keep you beat down and broke down, and it's always miserable. But they're not going to leave you because they're codependent. They trained you up that way. They brainwashed you that way, and they molded you. They got you to a state where you were malleable, where they could hammer you into place. And that's exactly what they did. And the secondary supply knows that they're a cheater as well, so they'd never really marry them or commit to them in that fashion. If the secondary supply, they could be an empath that was a primary supply, and then they wouldn't take it no more. So then, through all that hot and cold, eventually they got comfortable meeting up with the narcissist and being friends with benefits. And so they become the secondary supply. And like I said, when you're with the narcissist over time, you're going to become just like them. They give you bad habits. So, you spiritually, you don't get better when you're with an evildoer like a narcissist. You get worse. And they probably broke you down in the primary supply source position so bad that you probably have no boundaries with them and you were used to it. So you end up maybe leaving for a time and come back as a secondary source, and you're okay with that because you were in the primary spot long enough to know that you can't handle that, and you'll refuse to do it. But you might refuse to be, you may be okay with lowering your standards to be in secondary supply because you're kind of like a toxic type empath, a jaded empath that's toxic now. You're a toxic enabler, but you're not going to allow for somebody to break you down like that. And so these people are out there as well. And so these are situations, and it gets exciting for both people because, you're talking about the narcissist. They have that allure. They have that spelling. They have the witchcraft, and they do have magic. And they do incantations, and they put witchcraft on people and love spells on people. They do sex magic, and they also do things where they go out and draw down like beauty and seduction from the moon when there's full moons out, and all kind of stuff, y'all. And so when they go out there, sometimes, they spellbound people. but they're also in a damn state. So that's the price you pay. But that's kind of how they get the secondary supply. Now, if the primary leaves them and they decide to shift the secondary into the primary spot, man, it's going to be just as brutal for that person. But like I said, a lot of times when you're a secondary supply, you already know that you can't trust that narcissist. And so you may emotionally not allow yourself to go down that road. There's a limit to how much emotions you have with an individual like that. And so they will do what it takes to keep it like that and try not to get emotionally hooked. But really, a lot of times, the narcissist or the empath can get hooked to that other narcissist or to that narcissist. Because of the way that they function, the way that they operate, they draw you in like that. And they get you enticed, addicted, and they do what it takes to seduce you and to charm you and to convince you of things. And if you are susceptible and you're open to that kind of stuff, they will get you. That's why you don't want to play with the narcissist. Because when you play with the narcissist and you think you can play around with the narcissist and get away with it, and you're awoke, like when you wake up and you want to go back to the narcissist and play with them for a while, and you think you can just play with them several times a year, and you think you ain't going to get bit, you'll get bit, y'all. They'll draw you all the way in. They'll strip you of everything you got. They will break up every relationship in your life. They will get you in trouble at work, and they will get you living in a ditch before you can look up. You do not want to mess with the narcissist. They are out to destroy you, and they will destroy you when you least expect it. And God don't cover you when you're awoke. He allowed you to wake up, and you still think you can go back and play and have grace of God and have God's grace on you? No, sir. No, ma'am. He'll let you get bit. He'll let you walk right into that with no armor on. And he'll let you get the full brunt of that. So that's just like a warning, so you know how the narcissist is, because they will destroy you, and they've destroyed a lot of people. You can't be around a narcissist and not get destroyed. The negative energy and reaping what you sow that comes along with that is really hectic, y'all. It's brutal. It's very damaging. And a lot of people end up on the streets because of these fools. End up in psych wards and end up getting real close to dirt, if you know what I mean. So just to keep your focus on leaving the narcissist and pushing ahead. The narcissist just does things to keep you in control of you. They never give you closure, so your mind can think so many different things of what if, what could be, and those are never true. They're a piece of crap, and it was always going to be a failure. The other thing, they get you caught up on needing their validation, and then that rumination with that cognitive dissonance. Healing is brutal, but that's what you have to do. It's either that or you're going to lie in destruction. So if you can give me a like, subscription, and thumbs up, love y'all. Until next time, soldier up. Peace be out.